All right, here we are, Impact and Influence Radio, right here on Opera. And today's broadcast is brought to you by Blinds of Sacramento. Sacramento's complete solution window covering experts. Give them a call, 916-790-8689 or blindsofsacramento.com. Now today, we've got a gentleman in here, referral from Portia Middleton, who is our star for July of Impact and Influence magazine. We've got Adam Keigwin. Did I pronounce that correctly?
Yes, that's correct.
Perfect. And you are you the founder of Actum?
Partner.
Yeah,
one of.
And then how long ago did this company come about?
Actum started about 4.5 years ago.
Mm-hmm.
All of us at Actum worked for a different public affairs firm that we left. All the California folks, our LA office and our Sacramento office,
Mm-hmm.
pretty much all of the California operation left that particular firm and started this new one.
That's amazing. That's actually really, how long ago was that?
That was 4.5 years ago.
Wow. All right, so who is Adam Keigwin outside of work, and then we'll get into inside of work.
First and foremost, I'm a dad of 4 daughters, so I've got 2 college students and a high school student and an elementary school student, all girls.
And you have a hell of a car insurance bill.
It's up there. It's up there. And married, and I live in Woodland, California.
What brought you to Woodland?
My wife's family is
all from there.
Pretty much all from there. So
Yeah.
we got married last November and decided, okay, we'll go to Woodland.
Congratulations,
Thank
dude.
you.
Yeah, my wife, she was a social worker in Woodland for a number of years now. She works for the state of California. But so we used to commute from here to Woodland.
Wow.
Every day. Yeah.
It's a cute town. Yeah.
You know what? It's a beautiful town.
Yeah.
I love that town. Have you been out to the Hive?
Yep.
Dude.
I've been to the Hive, and there's some music events out there.
Oh my God, It's beautiful, just beautiful. Now, that's who you are outside of work. Who are you inside of work?
Well, inside of work is, I generally around government affairs, government relations work, lobbying, public relations, dealing with the media for various companies, nonprofits.
Now, are you speaking on behalf of these companies? Are you fighting for these companies?
Oftentimes that's what it entails is speaking on their behalf in the Capitol, working with the legislature and the governor to influence the decisions that they're making.
So explain to me how all of this works. I call you up. I'm like, hey, Adam, I just don't like what's going on. Let's create something. Let's do something. And then we go to work and fight the monster it be.
Well, it depends. Usually it's somebody that has a business that is having a particular problem, or someone introduces a bill that may cause a problem for their business. Sometimes it's, I have a company that wants to be able to have cameras on school buses, and they call up, but the law doesn't currently allow for that. So they want,
They don't allow cameras on school buses?
On the outside.
On the outside.
Which would then, to be able to give tickets, right?
Yes.
So when somebody walks, in front of the school
the other
buses.
day, I swear to God, dude, the other day I was freaking out. And so, the sun's in my eyes, and I've got this big truck in front of me, and he the light's green. I see in the distance the light's green, so I'm going through this light, and this big truck, and the sun's in my eyes, and just as the truck passes, I realize there's a school bus right there with the sign. I never even saw it. I didn't see it until I was already passing it.
Well, just on that issue, for that issue, what they would do is they'd give you a warning that first time, and 90% of the time, someone gets a warning, they don't do it again. So it really cuts down on it without necessarily being, a huge penalty for it.
There should be a huge penalty for it.
But the reality is
one mistake and that's it.
Yeah, and we have footage of that where kids getting hit.
Yeah, it's horrible.
Yeah.
It's a horrible thing, and I don't know. It's been like 2 weeks, a week now since that happened, and I'm still thinking about it. And so it's one of those things where it's yes, we need to do something. We need to do something. Now, what are some of the other things that you're tackling? And then, how does somebody even go about, again, what do I do? Just call you and bitch and moan about, I don't like this or that?
Usually you're working for somebody else who it's a bigger entity, small business stuff, sure. But, usually it's, the Chamber of Commerce would hire someone like me to help them.
Okay.
Not usually an individual business unless, their business is something that needs some sort of assistance. In the past I've did interlock devices, to prevent, DUIs and that sort of thing. So if you have like companies that are kind of in these niche markets, sometimes they need some assistance with the government. When we first had ride sharing, Uber and Lyft and those sort of entities, were coming on board, and the regulations weren't there to protect the consumer, but also to ensure that the company can continue to exist. I mean, there are a lot of interest trying to prevent that, taxi companies and taxi drivers and that sort of thing. Yeah. And so all of that had to get worked out in the legislature.
And so you're the guys that help facilitate all this.
Yeah.
Now, how do you get paid on this? Are you getting paid by the companies themselves that are hiring you? And you're like, look, if we can make this happen.
Well, I can't get paid on a contingency basis. That's illegal in California. So you can't have success fees in my work. But generally, it's a retainer. Someone will retain me. The legislature's, is a full-time legislature, so they're in session most of the year, and each year is a legislative cycle, and you can change the law in a 1-year period here in California.
You were saying that it's easier here than anywhere else in the country.
Well, I wouldn't say easier. It just can be done quicker. So we'll pass 1,000 bills a year. People don't realize how often the law changes. But it's sometimes they're small changes, sometimes they're really large changes. But no place in the world can you change public policy in 1 year and affect the amount of people you can affect in California. The only thing you could compare it to is Congress. But Congress does not change things. It takes in 1 year. It takes them several years. But in California, you can do it in a year and affect a fifth of the country.
And so, we saw that with the redistricting, and it was just kind of like, we're going to try this, and now everyone's like, everybody wants to be a part of this thing.
Well, I mean, in terms of correcting the wrong, I mean, in terms of it was started in Texas. If it had never started in Texas, California wouldn't have done anything. But then Texas changed it, and so the counter was for California to do it, and now you're seeing this back and forth.
Yeah. Now, was this something that people had talked about before, or is this somebody just came up with this crazy idea, and they're like, we can do this?
Well, we redistrict every 10 years based upon the census. We've never redistrict otherwise. But Donald Trump decided, he called up the governor of Texas and said, I want 5 more seats, and so make it happen. And so they did a mid-decade redistricting, which was unprecedented. And so, the way the politics are today, the Democrats needed to counter, and they did that in California. But
very interesting.
It's never happened
so
before.
Cool. Have you written books on any of this stuff before?
Written or read?
Written. No, seriously.
I've kind of got an interesting long story in politics, and so at one point I'll have to write it down.
You will absolutely have to. No, seriously, because you're a wealth of knowledge. I mean, I've been doing this 12 years. I've done like 1,500 of these things. We get some awesome stories in here, and I'm just sitting here over here, and I'm just like asking you probably some of the dumbest questions, but I can guarantee none of my listeners know any of this stuff. It's just so super cool, man. It's super cool. You and I should do a show together sometime.
There you go.
Now, why are you so passionate about this? Like, where did this come from?
It's interesting.
Were you in student council as a kid and stuff?
Something like that. Well, the story that my mom often tells is the phone rings, and I guess this would be in 1983. I was 6 years old, and the person on the other end says, "Is Adam there?" And my mom is like, "Who's this?" And he says, "Oh, I'm Mike Hogan. I'm running for state senate."
Holy crap!
This is in Massachusetts. I grew up in the suburbs of Boston.
So you're a Boston fan.
I'm a big Boston fan.
I'm a Rockies fan, so now I don't like you because you kicked my ass at the World Series.
Yeah, I'm sorry about that. We can talk Boston sports later in the show. But she's like, "Well, he's 6 years old. What can he possibly do?"
Yeah.
And to Mike's credit, he says, "I don't know. We'll find something for him to do." And so I ended up working for him I walked precincts. I got out the vote. I was a cute little kid handing out flyers. But then he got elected, became mayor of my hometown. I worked for him from the time I was 6 years old, all the way through college, because the governor appointed him to head up the economic development agency in the state. So all through college, I worked for him. I got college credit. I got paid, I think, $8.50 an hour, which was pretty good back then. Yeah. I got college credit. I was able to graduate college in 3.5 years. Thanks to the internship essentially that he gave me. But literally from 6 years old until I was 22 years old, I worked for him.
And it's so funny because I've been in audio, in recording, since I was about 6 years old.
Well, you'll like this as a Boston sports guy. Okay. I don't know if you know who he is, Johnny Most.
Name sounds familiar.
So Johnny Most is unbelievable. He's he's in the Basketball Hall of Fame. Okay. He was a Celtics announcer. Okay. Through the 50s, 60s, 70s, 80s, and when you grow up in Massachusetts, there's literally Johnny Most competitions throughout the city of Boston.
People are wanting to do this.
It sounds like high above courtside here at the Boston Garden. This is Johnny Most and Glenn Orway. Yeah. And I used to do that as a kid. Like that was what I wanted to be. I wanted to be Johnny Most.
That's so. Are you a big sports guy as much as you're a politics guy?
Yeah, it's probably my second biggest passion.
Why haven't you done anything in broadcasting?
Well, I went to UMass for undergrad in journalism.
No, seriously, I'm telling you straight up, dude. I mean, mics are cheap, man. Mics are $50. Get a DI, run it into your computer like we're doing. You have so much information. You could be educating people on a national or even a global level, and you could bring politics and sports together. You don't have to charge anything.
I'll have to hire you to be my hype guy.
I can help you. I can help you. I mean, I've been doing this for a long time. The point I'm making is. It might just be a fun project for you to kind of get you, but you have so much information that you can share with the world, and that's what makes you, right? Is that you just have so much, and I mean, yeah, I just there's something you got to share that with the world. You really, really do, man.
Thank you.
People would listen all day long. They'd listen to you, and so your passion, you're still doing it ever since you were a kid, and you just. Why haven't you run for a political office or anything? Have you run for mayor? Have you run for governor or anything?
No. So I've worked on hundreds of campaigns, from presidential campaigns to state legislature and governor's races to local city councils and school board races. But it's never been, it's not all that glamorous.
Well, you don't want the attention.
It's a lot of attention, and there's a lot of scrutiny. Yeah. And I've been around it so close to it where I've seen the worst of it, and I've seen it, hurt families, tear up families.
Yeah. That's why I don't want to be famous. And that's why I'm still doing what I do at this local level instead of taking it. I tried national. I did national, and you couldn't go to a restaurant. You couldn't pump gas. People follow you home, and I don't want to do this.
But doing what I do, I can still make just as much of a difference without my face out there.
Yeah. And I was going to talk about your history, but clearly we got into that. So other than I asked you to be here, why are you here? What are you looking for?
I
asked me to.
Yeah, you did ask me to, so that was a good enough reason. And I looked at some of the other shows, and I just found it interesting, the diversity of folks that you're that you're interviewing and showcasing. So I said, why not? I'm always here. I love talking to people about the work that I do. And when things happen that affect you or your business or your organization. You need an advocate. You need someone fighting for you, because if you're not there, if you're not in the room, you're just, you're going to get rolled over.
Now, are you a lawyer? Do you have a law degree or anything like that?
I got like I said, journalism degree, and then I got my master's in education, and I was a teacher for a couple of years. And
what'd you teach? Political science?
Yeah. Yeah. I taught 1 year in middle school, 1 year in high school, but it was government and social studies.
What'd you think of it?
I loved it. If I could get paid what I get paid now to teach, I probably would still do it.
Now, what if you did it? When you retire, when you get done here, and you're just like,
I could see myself doing like a college course or something like that.
Yeah, teach the kids. And so my whole thing, I don't have kids, and so everyone's like, "What are you going to do with all this when you die?" I'm like, I don't know. Probably just give it to my high school and say, name the gym after me or something. I don't know. I have no idea. And so are you looking for businesses or companies to come to you and say, look, we're coming out with something new and we're going to need your help?
Yeah. I mean, I don't go out there soliciting myself. I don't need to. People generally find me, and I generally have enough work. But sometimes people are out there and they don't know, that there is help out there or how to do it.
Yeah.
And so, are there folks out there that maybe don't think to hire a lobbyist or hire somebody that's, when they see a bill that's going through the process and it's going to affect their lives? If you're a business, you probably need somebody there representing you.
I have got friends and acquaintances that are lobbyists. What separates you from my buddies that are, I'm a lobbyist. I work for the,
Tell me who they are and I'll let you know.
We don't want to drop names. That's
okay. So,
I mean, I guess I could, but
look, there are a lot of very good lobbyists out there. What I would say is I've been doing this a long time. I've been in Sacramento, either working in government or as a lobbyist for the past 25 years. I've built really strong relationships with the governor and with the legislature on both sides of the aisle. I'm one of those people that I get along with both the Democrats and the Republicans in Sacramento, and I've got niches of where I have specialty of working, especially in education. But I'm one of those people that kind of works in every single field. And then just my firm, Actum, is one of the leading firms in Sacramento, and brings about.
No, your presence is beautiful online.
Well, thank you.
Yeah, seriously, it's gorgeous.
We've built a really good firm. We're just at about 100 employees and having offices in Los Angeles and Sacramento, D.C., New York, Paris, Brussels, and I'm forgetting somewhere.
I have been saying this for years and years and years. You can go back through my archives and you'll see that I've been saying this forever. One of my goals in life is to interview Newsom. I have always said this. I find him extremely fascinating. I don't agree with a lot of the things that he does or says. I'm kind of the other way. But I find him extremely interesting, and his mind is it's so intriguing to me, and I would just love to sit down with him someday. Whatever that is, maybe put a birdie in his ear someday and say, I know this little tiny little radio show that would love to hear. It's just one of his goals in life. And so even if I have to go to him, whatever. And the point is just I find something about him. I went to, and we'll start to move towards a close. I went to an event 3 or 4 months ago where it was all of his press people, and you get to ask all these different questions and what's he like and all these things. And I just sat there and I took notes and listened. And it was me and Frank, my buddy that helps me with the magazine. And so we're sitting there, and they were telling a story about how Newsom's mind works. And they were telling the story about his hotel. He has a hotel in Lake Tahoe somewhere, and the manager was trying to. They were having a. I'm trying to remember exactly how it all happened, but there was a mosquito issue, I think is what it was, because the AC had gone out and there was like lots of mosquitoes, and they said, well, in order to kill the mosquitoes, we need to put catfish in the lake. So they put catfish in the area next to this hotel. I'm screwing the story up, but you'll get the point. And so, long story short, the next morning or a couple weeks later, whatever it was, people are screaming and they're freaking out because there's blood and guts everywhere. And so what had happened was the raccoons were fishing and bringing the catfish and hiding the catfish corpses in various parts of this hotel, and it just smelled terrible and the whole thing. And of course, the person who did it was like on the chopping block. We need to fire him, blah, 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 blah. And Newsom goes, no. We don't need to fire him. We need to give him an award. And so they created the award, and they named it after this guy. And the award was for most innovative thinking, even though it was a complete disaster. I mean, anybody else would have been shit canned. And they and he gave him an award because he thought outside the box. He said, okay, we're going to find a solution, and he did it in the most humane way. And it just so happened to turn out to be the worst decision you could ever possibly make. But the point I'm making is most people, would look at that as a complete failure, and he looked at it as a huge learning opportunity, and then of course rewarding the people for innovative thinking. And I think that's a very, very smart thing. As a leader, as a real leader, I think that's very smart. And so just one of those things I've always found every time I hear these Newsom stories, I always find it like he's just a very innovative thinker. He's just different. He's a different guy, and I've always wanted to just kind of get into his head a little bit and learn some things. So
what I find really interesting about him is that he never uses any notes. Even when he's presenting a budget that can take an hour or two, no notes, and he can regurgitate the numbers, of every department, of every line item. He can just on memory pull all these things up. So his incredible memory.
Yeah, no, he's just on a whole different level. And these are the elite, and we've got them all over the country. We've got. I mean, these are the best of the best of the best, and that's why they're in the positions that they're in. And I find it just so fascinating.
Not always like that. That's not always true.
What's that?
So that's not always true. They're not always the best of the best.
I'm being nice. I'm trying to not be a jerk. So, hey, I want to thank you so much for being here. Adam Keigwin from Actum, ACTUMLLC.com. Anything you want to add before we get out of here?
No,
man?
thanks for having me.
Hey, thank you so much. And of course, if you're in one of those situations, you're trying to grow your company and you want to take this thing to the next level and you're not quite sure how you can do that with the government, this, that, or the other, I'm assuming you're the guy to talk to about possibly making some change.
Yeah.
Absolutely. ActumLLC.com. Thank you so much for listening, and we'll see you next time. Bye-bye.